Hey, this is Peter, and I'm here to talk about my new student dialogue experience on the topic of privilege and age. Um, so, just want to start off and say that it was a good dialogue. I think I enjoyed it. At least I enjoyed it more than I probably would have enjoyed other ones. Just because it was an easy thing to talk about, and I like how we came to consensus. That really contributed to a civil discussion in the sense that I think we all understood each other, all of us taking part, and I think we came away with better perspective just from different contributions from people with with different backgrounds. So I would say it was a true dialogue, and that we sought to reach a better understanding through group effort and teamwork. In terms of active voices, I would say that most people did not have an active voice. They had reserved voices, and that was mainly because of, as I said earlier, the consensus and views. We're all the same age, so most of us agreed, for instance, that people become adults at age 18. I mean, that's only natural. 18, 19-year-olds coming to college, we think we're independent and we have it all figured out, so naturally we want the rights and freedoms and responsibilities for ourselves at our age, so that wasn't hard to understand. But most of the passive voices came from people who just didn't really have much to say, or maybe stuff was already said. We were in agreement over most things, so once someone made a major point, after someone seconded or something, there wasn't a whole lot more to add, unless people have personal experience and stuff. And there wasn't a whole lot of anecdotes in discussion. But I found that I was personally more of an active voice, and that's just because I just like putting my 2 cents in the discussion. If I have my own opinions on the issue, I just like contributing that. And in many cases I agreed with what other students were saying, so that was good. But I just have my opinions on the issue. I think personally that people should, become adults, or at least should mentally be at adulthood when they're age 18, and they should have the full rights of an adult when they're age 18. That's just coming from conservative Christian me. But yeah, and I'd say that in general, I think the dialogue portion of Library 100 is there for a reason. Certainly just to teach students what a dialogue is. I think a lot of students come in not knowing exactly what it is. I know I probably didn't understand it as much as I should have coming in. Just knowing that it's a group-oriented discussion with the outcome goal of contributing to overall understanding and knowledge and just the dynamics of that and how it works. I think that's a good thing to have experience with. And I'm sure this is something I'll be using throughout the rest of my college career, the ability to discuss issues and have civil discussions over various topics. Some of them could be pretty controversial, so I think these are valuable skills, and so I think learning them early on is an important thing, and I'm sure this is why this is part of Library 100. So now that I've answered all your questions, I'll just make a few final points. I would like to talk about first what we did, just to kind of reflect on that, and then the points of agreement. First, what we did. We started by exchanging names and just kind of talking about when we all think that people become adults. And as I said earlier, just about all of us agreed that we become adults at age 18, which wasn't surprising. After that, we did an activity where we have to guess what age matched with a certain right or privilege in a certain country. So for instance, the driving age in Ethiopia, we had to guess that. That turned out to be something like 14 or something. And so we do that for different countries like Germany or Australia or China. And some of them are pretty interesting. Age to work in China is like 18 or something like that. and a lot of people thought it might be 12, and stuff like that. So it's interesting to get that perspective and see what other countries perceive the age of maturity to be, and how they base certain rights off of that. Then we just entered into a discussion about dialogue, what exactly that is, and then I guess jotting down our personal belief system and background and framework to kind of help us understand where we're coming from, and we just shared parts of that with groups to help make connections and see where we might possibly differ on issues. So that was pretty cool. So agreement points for our discussion are so one of them, and that was just when we become an adult. There's more to it. We certainly all came from different backgrounds, and so some of us have different stories, different things to contribute. But I think most of us agreed the drinking age should be 18, and I mean it's probably no surprise among college students for various obvious reasons. But a lot of us kind of agreed when one of us said that if we're old enough to go fight and die for our country and spill blood and get licensed to kill people, should we also be allowed to go out and buy alcohol? And the common opposition to that is, oh well, people aren't mature or the brain isn't fully developed. But then I would personally ask, well, are we developed to the point where we can handle all the violence and trauma of warfare, or what about the damage we can do to our bodies with the consumption of tobacco products, which we're allowed to have at age 18? I mean, people want to say, well, you could drink and become an alcoholic or drive drunk. Well, yeah, that's true, but you could also do that with other things that aren't legal in the first place, or do that anyway. It doesn't necessarily impact decision making just because it's legal. Also, you can do bad stuff to yourself if you drink a lot, but you can also do that with tobacco products. If you smoke a lot of cigarettes, you could get yourself emphysema over the years, something like that. That starts at age 18. And then the final, I guess, point for discussion, which I thought was the most interesting and I came away with the most, output from, was the whole idea of maturity versus age. Ideally, adulthood and rights to drink and weapon licensing and stuff like that. I got actually a gun right here. It's airsoft, just kidding. But just the whole idea of ideally we'd be able to judge people's ability to handle certain rights like drinking age and stuff like that based off of maturity. People mature at different ages. I mean, there's some 18, 19-year-olds probably much more mature than some 30-year-olds out there. Maturity isn't necessarily correlated with age. I mean, we generally become more mature as we grow up, but we become mature at different times in our lives. So that's hard to judge. So we have to base these things off of age, and there's no universal means for indicating that. So, so it was interesting, and it was good that we all agreed.